Let's move on now to the next email today. And the next email today comes to us from Dale Schumer, who says, "Hear me and rejoice. Star Trek Discovery has been renewed for season 3. I know Robert Meyer Burnett isn't a big fan of the show, but I have never loved any Star Trek story as much as this one, considering how expensive this show is. Does this move indicate just how much CBS believes in the show?" Well, yeah, so this came out, I'll be honest with you, I was a little surprised. I was surprised when Star Trek Discovery got renewed for season 2, and I'm equally surprised that it got renewed for season 3. Not because, for me personally, as a quality issue, because I actually quite enjoy Star Trek Discovery, but because it's such an expensive show. It is such an expensive show. I just thought, look, you can't keep this thing going, can you? But they did announce yesterday that Star Trek Discovery is official now. It's coming back for a season 3. Now, I do not believe it's not my favorite Star Trek stuff of all time, don't get me wrong. But I have really bought into this show. It is, for me, it is distinctly unique apart from any other Star Trek stuff that we've ever had, which to some people is frustrating, but to me, personally, I think it's an advantage. While also maintaining some of the core elements of a Star Trek show that I've always enjoyed. Is it make it my favorite Star Trek thing of all time? No, absolutely not. I've got a couple incarnations that I prefer a little bit more, but I'm not going to lie, when I read that Star Trek Discovery Season 3 was coming, I also got a big smile on my face. Now, the only person who would have had a bigger smile on his face, I know, and would have felt more joy than you did, is Robert Meyer Burnett. So clearly, he's super pumped about this. Robert, what do you think about the news of the renewal of Star Trek Discovery?
Well, first of all, I'm very happy that Dale loves Star Trek Discovery, because I think it's great when we get things that we love. So that's terrific. I think, look, whenever a TV show gets renewed, it's great for the cast, it's great for the crew, it's great for the writers, it's great for the producers, it's great for everybody because they're working. But I think that what Star Trek is now becoming is the anchor with which CBS thinks that they can create a streaming service akin to a Netflix, akin to Amazon, akin to Hulu. And they just can't. You can't. What people have never understood is that the Star Trek audience is finite. It's always been a niche show. It's not going to ever be Game of Thrones. It's not going to break through like that. And I think by renewing it, CBS All Access they have their most viewers from football and from Star Trek. And Star Trek Discovery this season is only 14 episodes long. And then when it goes off the air, they let their subscription lapse. And I think they're trying to make all these new Star Trek shows, the Picard show. They're hoping the Twilight Zone will break through. They're turning Star Trek into a sausage factory. They got to keep making that sausage, keep everybody happy. And they changed the showrunner. They announced a new showrunner to again, a woman whose credits. She hasn't worked on that much television. She worked on the originals. She was an executive producer and showrunner on the originals.
My wife loved that show. Actually, I like the originals quite a bit too myself.
Yeah, I mean it was okay, but is that a good fit for a Star Trek show? I don't know. I mean, I said this yesterday on my own show. I said, why can't we get the Ryan Coogler of Star Trek, who came in and re-energized the Rocky franchise by making Creed? I've said this to you. I think Creed is one of the greatest franchise continuations in history because it had new life breathed into the franchise, and you gave Sylvester Stallone one of not just his best portrayal of Rocky, but one of the best roles of his career in the mentor role with Adonis Creed. And it was done because you had a great fan who was also a world-class filmmaker come in and make the movie. I'd love to see that happen with Star Trek. I'd love to see a world-class filmmaker come in who loves Star Trek, not just people who are taking it on as a job. And, Alex Kurtzman has one failed thing after the other, and now he's in charge of the whole Trek franchise. Whoa. Alex
Kurtzman has some pretty big wins on his resume. He's got some losses too, but let's not pretend Alex Kurtzman doesn't have some pretty big wins on his resume as well.
But is he the best showrunner for Star Trek? I mean, he drove the Dark Universe into the ground out of the gate.
Well, I don't think that was, and by the way, I didn't think The Mummy was as bad as most people think it is, but that wasn't Alex Kurtzman's responsibility for that. Like,
Well,
I
he
just
wasn't director.
all I've got for one movie, yes, which I actually quite liked, but I didn't quite like. No, I just didn't think it was as bad as other people thought. But I'll say this. I think Discovery's been a win. I think there are enough people watching it, liking it. I think you're getting new crops of people who maybe have never really been into Star Trek. Like my wife, for example.
Well, as I said, I think that's the best part about it. New viewers of the franchise.
So, and as long as that can happen and keep the Star Trek franchise alive, it opens up the possibilities for other types of shows to come later.
Sure.
Like I know a lot of people are very excited about what this, like Patrick Stewart seems very excited about this Picard show. And if it wasn't for Star Trek Discovery and the level of success that it's had, it hasn't been blowing things out of the water, but it's had a certain level of success. If it wasn't for Discovery, we probably wouldn't be getting this Picard show. And if something like that can lead to other things that give us different types of Star Trek shows that might appeal to other Star Trek lovers as well, then I think it's only a good thing. But for sure, Rob, look, you're not the only guy I know who doesn't like Discovery. I have a couple of friends of mine who really don't like the show. It's a little bit divisive for sure, and I'm a little bit surprised that I liked it. To be frank with you, I'm a little bit surprised that I like it because I think if you described the first couple of seasons on a 2-page treatment to me, I probably would look at it and go, not interested. You know what I mean? So I'm a little bit surprised that it's worked for me as well as it has. And I'm a little bit surprised that with the expense that show has to make that show, I'm shocked it's getting its season 3. But the fact that it could lead to other stuff for Star Trek, I think is pretty good news. So let's see what happens in season 3. I'm still not caught up with, I'm still like 2 episodes behind on this season. So I gotta get motoring on that.